Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to another episode of New to Weeaboo. This is number 80 for September 7th, 2022. I am Nemesis, and I am joined, as usual, by Alcatraz here.
Hello.
Yeah. It's now September already.
Yes.
Time is, there. That's the best word to say it.
Yeah, time.
Yeah, so summer's almost over as of this recording. Thankfully, today is actually a relatively cool day compared to the last few weeks.
Yes.
A couple things, I guess, in the world of anime. Actually, one thing, big thing we missed last time, which I just completely forgot on, which is Sailor Moon. Someone found the lost pilot for the Saban version of Sailor Moon.
Yeah, that was the US half and half animated.
So just to get into that, Saban, if you don't know, we're mostly known for doing Power Rangers, and they wanted to replicate that success back in the day, and what they were going to do, Sailor Moon basically is Power Rangers for girls, which not a bad way to market it, I guess.
Yeah.
So they got the rights to it, and they looked into doing a weird hybrid thing. They were going to, instead of just dubbing the anime, they were going to do a live action stuff with the Americanized stuff. They're going to do that, and there's going to be live action for when they're just normal everyday girls, but when they transform into the Sailor Senshi, it was going to be animated, like new animation. They weren't going to use the old animation because that was part of the style of the time, was to hide the fact it was from Japan.
Right.
No, not. Anyway, they gave up on that because they went, this is really expensive. And they just went ahead and, I guess, handed over to Deke to dub it instead, and that's what we got, was the Deke dub. Deke was one of them. I believe Deke also animated this stuff.
They also did Sonic.
Yeah, they did a lot of stuff. Deke and Nelvana were probably some of the major players you saw in animation back in the early 90s. You probably saw those logos a lot. They attached to stuff like Captain Planet and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
Those are the big players. I think Deke did the animation for this as well before, just dubbing the anime. But anyway, it was shelved. People knew about it because they talked about it at a convention. There's a little bit of footage they showed, but not the full episode. And so we knew about it, but we didn't know anything beyond that. And then someone finally hunted down the full pilot episode they made, which was in the Library of Congress. The thing is, getting it from the Library of Congress is not easy because you have to have permission from the copyright holder. So that was a fun time to go zoot. But they found it, and it's available. And you can see it, and apparently it is one of those weird things where it is, no. The animation is pretty terrible. The pilot story is kind of iffy, probably because it wasn't intended for public consumption. It was just as a proof of concept.
Right.
And, but they did, weirdly enough, were weirdly faithful to the anime. Like, they really paid attention to, like, a lot of the super moves and whatnot to replicate in the new animation and whatnot. That was the thing that happened. Someone found it. It's out there now. You can watch the full pilot. So that was a thing. More recent news, though. Lucky Star's manga is coming back after an almost decade of being away.
Yeah, 8 years.
Mm-hmm. That's a fun thing of, like, nowadays, like, older weebs kind of talk about Lucky Star, and then you get the new weebs. What's Lucky Star? And then you die. Because you just realize, I'm old now.
Aged.
And there's that. And the other thing is, at least on a personal note, which is annoying for me, which is Love Live Superstar got delayed a week because of COVID. Apparently a lot of anime right now is being kind of delayed randomly throughout the season because there's been a COVID surge in Japan. And thankfully, though, most of Japan has a very high vaccination rate for this, but
Japan, I think, like a couple days ago, just opened their borders too.
A couple borders, but they had recently had a big surge, and that has been affecting a lot of anime production, and so Love Live has been delayed a week. So this weekend, as of today, actually, as of recording, no episode. Instead, that's coming out next week. So I won't be able to watch it on Monday when it shows up.
Also, a couple days ago was Miku's birthday.
Yeah, and apparently, like half the seiyuu for Love Live straight up have gotten COVID in like the last month.
That sucks.
Like total over the whole franchise. Like, because there's like 30 characters now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Miku also had her birthday.
Yep.
And Love Live and Miku had their collab, and I got the single.
You got the, yep.
With the Blu-ray and everything.
Yeah, which also means the big event, the Magical Mirai, happened because that happens on her birthday.
Yeah.
I think they expanded to a third city this year.
Oh. Yeah, that's the stuff.
Yep.
I guess for anime, whatnot. There's of course other things, but a lot of that stuff's kind of all common and not a big deal.
Yep.
And we're here to talk about a very specific, particular anime called Super Cub.
Super Cub,
which is came out in 2021, particularly April to June of 2021.
Yep, it's new.
It was based on a manga, which was based on a light novel or something like that. It was one of
Yeah,
there's a serial novel, then there was a light novel, then there was a manga. There we go. And there's still a manga. Apparently, it's still running.
Interesting.
Or there's a second manga too. Oh, there's a manga that's still going now, and there's a spin-off manga called Super Cub Ray, which is also still going. Started this year apparently.
Interesting.
So I have no idea about all that stuff. But anyway, essentially, this is a glorified advertisement for Honda Super Cub. This is essentially what this anime is.
Basically, yes.
They make sure to remind you of that. Oh yeah, but it's mostly about there's three primary girls. The primariest
Yep,
is Kogama. She her whole thing is her parents died. She doesn't have a lot of money, and she's missed the bus or something, so she bikes to school, and then
she bikes to school
this
anyway.
This sucks. This actually sucks. And then she stops at a little bike shop, and they had some Super Cubs. Oh, those are too expensive. And then the owner sells her a cheap one because it's the Super Cub of Death or whatever. And she buys it, and she's very happy. Brightens her world, literally. In which way, that's the whole thing. She goes through the trials and tribulations of,
Ownership.
now owning a little scooter thing. Because it's a scooter.
It is a scooter. That's literally what it is.
And then she also meets another cub owner, which saying that out loud sounds weird. But it's actually she owns a hunter cub.
Not yet. Not to begin with.
Are you sure it wasn't a hunter cub too? I thought it was a different model.
It was a trail cub, but it wasn't the hunter cub.
Okay, so anyway, she was also a enthusiast, and her name's Reiko, and she meets her and she helps her out, and they bond, and then they also meet Shi Enowa, who was I believe the class president or something, and she was doing cultural festival stuff, and she needed help, and they helped her out because they had Super Cubs. They're able to help her out because of that.
Yep.
And so they bond over that, and she also her parents own a bakery called, well, it's butter, but it's beer or something.
Like French.
It's French word. I don't know how. I
butter.
probably butchered it like 3 times just now.
I'm not even gonna try. It's French for butter.
But yeah, that's the plot. There's not a whole lot to it is the thing. It's very heavily slice of life. And there really isn't a lot to this anime per se. It's just a couple of girls and their scooters. And one of them's on a bicycle for most of it until literally like the last minute or two.
She is, I wouldn't even call she one of the primary characters because she doesn't even show up until halfway through the anime. She's more of a supporting character.
But she's in the OP though.
Yeah, she's in the OP, but she doesn't even appear until really halfway through. So
still primary. But when she does appear, she's there pretty frequently. So I would call her primary character, just one who shows up late.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's not a whole lot to it because it really isn't. It's in the same vein as Yuru Camp. It's very primarily focused on a very specific thing, and it's very lighthearted about it. And there's not a whole lot to it for the most part. And it's kind of that same vein. So it's like just basically, well, as many people justly call it, cute girls doing cute things.
Yeah, it is very lighthearted. So. Is it my turn now?
Sure, why not?
So yeah,
no, actually changed my mind. No, you can't talk.
like you mentioned in our last episode, this is the second thing that we've talked about that I watched before you did. I had been seeing this and seeing people talk about it, and I watched it. Funnily enough, I watched it while using my bicycle as an exercise bike. So I was sitting on a bike watching stuff about motorcycles while able to see my own. It's like, I should really get on that. But it's, like I said, it's very lighthearted, very similar vein to Yuru Camp, where it's comfy for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I think Yuru Camp is a little bit more, I guess, meat to it than this one.
I would actually also say Yuru Camp is generally better.
I probably. I wouldn't disagree with that one. I did enjoy this one, though. Thing is, this one seems to be not just, while it is very much like an advertisement for Honda, And obviously they have licenses from Honda because all of the Hondas are drawn impeccably with full names and everything.
Hey, you should buy a Honda Super Cub. It will magically improve your life.
So I would say this is not just that, but also sort of a story of finding yourself and coming out of your shell.
Well, yeah.
That's what it
Using
really
a Honda
is.
Super Cub.
Yes, but even in the end, even at the very end, it talks a little bit more than that. Because Koguma, she's not in a great place. Parents are gone. She's on her own. She doesn't have much money. She's living on a scholarship by herself. Her days are routine and gray and boring, basically. Get up, rice and convenience store curry ready for lunch, and just repeat. Nothing to look forward to, no future, no nothing. But until she got, found that last push, struggling to get up the hill on her bike and getting passed by people, and passed by someone on a scooter, it's like, now you're really jealous and go to look and seeing all the other motorcycles. I don't think there was any other Cubs out front. There was a bunch of other Hondas, like the CBRs and the CBs and there was the Ruckus, although they called it something else because they title them different over there. Yep. Ruckus would be fun.
Yeah.
And then they pull out this cheap, like,
as I said, it's a bike shop.
Yeah. And he pulls out the used Super Cub, which apparently the story is like the last 3 owners died.
And then Reiko's like, I've heard of that. It's a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
One of them died of like choked on a sandwich or something. The other one actually just retired and moved away.
Yeah, and this I can't remember what the third one was. But yeah.
Nothing to do with the bike.
Yep. But she got it for cheap. It was like, what, 6,000 yen, I think? It was somewhere around there. It was cheap. So she could afford it.
$60. I don't think it was that cheap.
So that would be pretty cheap for a Super Cub. Even used ones around here,
6,000 would be about $60.
Yeah, it was about. It was probably
absurdly cheap.
Yeah, it was probably around $600 US ish. I think if we convert it.
I think it was like 10. They said something like 10,000 yen.
Yeah, I don't know. It was something like that. It was cheap, real cheap. But she bought it, and through the Cub, the whole story is through the Cub, she was able to see more of the world, see more of life, be able to open up more for herself, and finding not just friends but a community and a purpose in life. Yeah. So that's really what it's all about.
And Reiko, there being an experienced Cub owner, also has her own thing of like she's trying to push herself as well with the Cub and everything. She wants to modify her Cub to a point. She wanted to climb a mountain with it in Fuji. Unfortunately, she failed.
Yeah, she pushed it
wrecked her Cub.
Yeah,
and had to get a new one.
And that's when she got the Hunter Cub.
Yeah, that's when she got the Hunter Cub and everything. And her whole thing is her Hunter Cub is more powerful than Koguma's Super Cub. And also, they had to get, Koguma had to get a license, and I get another license, a higher tier of license to be able to go faster on it.
Yep. And then dealing with the changes of seasons and winterizing and just learning.
I'm not going to put that on my Cub. It looks stupid.
Yes. And then they try it out. Like,
why you say
stupid, but it works so well.
Did you ever see F Trooper? He's like, I'm not wearing that dress. I'm never going to wear that dress. You're not going to make that dress. And then he goes, blah, 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 and then he's wearing the dress.
Yep. That was the whole thing. Back to Koguma.
Hand warmers and
Koguma is an interesting character. Not only is she, kind of a little depressed and self-contained due to her situation, but she's also rather introverted and really quiet compared to Reiko, who's very kind of loud, boisterous, kind of free-spirited, and they start to play also
no modesty.
Put some clothes on, Rick. Twice.
But you're supposed to eat curry naked.
Twice she walks out to eat. It's like, oh, food. Put some clothes on. It's just, but yeah. So Reiko helps Koguma start to come out of her shell and open up a little bit, which we can see Koguma kind of wanted to in the beginning. When she first bought it, she was like super excited and wanted to talk about it, but didn't.
Yep. Yeah,
'Cause
she had that imagination. It's like, oh,
had-
I got a motorcycle. Oh my God, you got a motorcycle. It's so amazing. And then she just,
she's
nope,
like,
never
nope,
mind.
I didn't do that. God, sometimes she can be so freaking relatable.
Yeah, that's totally what happened.
Totally. But it's as things go on and as she starts opening up and becoming more comfortable, you start seeing her just, grab Reiko around and start dragging her around to do things, which was the opposite of how it started.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see them open up. Although her mannerisms are a bit interesting, how she talks and how she acts, rather curt and to the point. Almost at times seeming rude without intending to be.
Yeah. A little blunt.
Yeah, a little almost like. So I'm missing words here. Not fully considering the tone and intent that comes across.
Yeah.
When she says something, because she just almost always says what she thinks. Yeah, and then we get she about halfway through.
Very tiny.
The little Italy.
Very tiny.
Yep, she's very, very tiny. So, yeah, like you said, there was the festival, the Culture Festival, and she was going to put on a little
Her
Italian
dad's a big
bar.
fan of Germany. Her mom was a big fan of America. She likes
Yeah.
Italy.
Yeah, so yeah, she puts on this thing, and that's how they all meet because we need this equipment. They're going to have the teacher, but they forgot to actually ask the teacher,
Didn't you ask?
and then she was busy. And they couldn't get her to carry it, and that's when Koguma and Reiko went, we can set this up, and we can get this transferred. Then they met, and then she went, thank you so much, I'll give you free coffee. And they went, okay, free food, free coffee, and ended up visiting the cafe.
And also, she was very embarrassed by her mom. Who
very embarrassed.
Her mom actually imported an old Chevy C10.
Yeah.
I thought for a second, actually, straight up, her mom might have been straight up American.
Yeah,
it would have made sense, but
it would have.
I guess she just dyes her hair in America.
Yeah, so they've got this cafe that's like split right down the middle. One side set up as a bread shop that the dad runs, and the rest of it set up as very Americano.
Yeah, Americana.
With the 50s diner-esque with
Red
the
Robin.
license plates and all stuff all over.
When did I jump into an Applebee's?
Applebee's doesn't even do that anymore.
Well, they used
You have to go find an old 50s diner because that's what it was kind of styled after with the chrome.
As was the style at the time.
Yeah. And then we have she, who's just pining for Italy.
It's her little coffee maker.
Yep. And she gets her espresso machine after that, and she's so happy, and she wants them to. The dad wants to give him German bread, and
yes, the Germans who are known for their
they're known for their
fanciness and
they're known
nature.
for they're
known for that, right? Oh, this bread tastes like crap. And the other thing about this, also things like Koguma brief temp job, delivering papers for the school.
Yep. So she got a bunch of miles on her butt.
Got some money. Yep. Was able to then also figure out the whole oil change thing and
Yep.
also how the whole thing. Why is it not starting? Oh, because I have to switch this over for the gas tank.
Because you ran out of gas. Yeah, and learning the whole reserve switch.
Yep. And
with
all
those
that.
old vehicles.
But there's a thing which is and of course the winterizing as time goes on, including also the chains on the tires eventually when it starts snowing.
Yep.
And then there's this whole thing which is in episode 10, there's a whole Reiko and Koguma are playing in the snow and everything with their cubs, and it's like all right. And there's that one scene where it's like that's tempting to use a thumbnail where it's just Koguma's bike on the side and her face down in the snow.
He splat. Yeah, because they're having fun in the snow and doing donuts.
Eventually,
and
there's a whole
jumps.
thing where she's parents talk about how she's been riding her bike more often. She takes this trail and stuff. And then I was thinking about looking at all this, like, man, if this is a more dramatically infused anime, this would be the point where we find out she wiped out and is about to die or something. And I was thinking that.
End
and
of the episode.
And then the episode.
The phone
Help
rings.
me. Oh, what? They're actually doing this in this nice, calm slice of life anime. Okay, this is a turn.
Yep.
Yeah, so Koguma has to rescue her out of a little creek where she fell into in the winter and at night, and it's like I'm looking at this. There's a lot going on here that really you aren't talking about the fact that, in these wet clothes, she's more prone to dying, and the whole you put her in front of the bike, so now she's going to catch all the wind chill. And,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, you should also warm her up slowly. And
Koguma, you really probably should have called
you
emergency
could have killed
services.
her. She should be dead. Although there was also a point where it's like we see just how small she is because Koguma just picks her up.
They led into that by kind of joking about it earlier. Like, we'll toss you on the back of one of these, and Koguma made the joke, well, you'll probably fit in the basket. And well, apparently yes.
Maybe it's all fine in the end, but it was such a weirdly dramatic thing over the course of the end of episode 10 and the beginning of episode 11. It's so weirdly dramatic and out of nowhere. I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Because again, I saw all the signs like this is a slice of life thing that won't happen.
Yep.
I saw it. I was like, this is where it would happen if this is a dramatic anime. But then it happened anyway. I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. Although the scene in the house afterwards, with Shi's reaction after dealing with that was like, oof, that kind of hurt a bit.
Make the winter go away. I can't really do that. It's not that super.
Yeah. Because that was a extreme low point.
And that's what led them to doing the big trip on their spring vacation to go see the Sakura blossom.
Yep. And that was the final episode. And they decided to make a really long trip. Like they heard the Sakura.
And then they brought spring back with them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They found the farthest place that they could that the Sakura cherry trees were blooming. Not the close one, because that's too easy.
Yeah, that's easy. And
took a big, long road trip to see the sights and find them and then come back. And by the time they came back, they had bloomed there too. So they brought spring back. The cubs could do it. But it was also tied in with another thing with Koguma, realizing that it was kind of seeing Shi on the nicer bike was kind of one of the things leading her to getting the cub. And then it reversed with Shi now following them and this whole connection. And it was also at the end,
Shi's nice bike got totally wrecked when she wiped out.
Oh, yeah, totally. The Molten, which is a British bike.
Yeah, British.
It's a really nice British bike. And wrecked it. I had her ride a granny bike afterwards. But yeah, it whole tied it that it wasn't... One of the big points that Koguma came to at the end is it wasn't the cub that did it.
Yeah.
The cub is just a tool that will let you.
Yeah.
You still have to do it yourself.
Yeah, to me, almost felt tacked on. Like, we can't just tell you the cub will fix your life. We can't actually tell you that. We have to make sure to qualify. No, you have to still do stuff. Like it's like the line was something along the lines. It won't do anything if you just sit there. Something like that.
Something like that. It's like it will help you,
but only if you're willing to go forward.
But it's still up to you to do it.
Also, it's kind of funny for an advertisement like Super Cubs. There was one point where Reiko was very much willing to trash modern Super Cubs.
Yep. The whole time about carbureted and new. Yeah.
It's like, I know people like that, but man, I'm sorry they allowed that, considering Honda has obviously put money in this.
I'm not certain how much they've put. It was Honda pushing it. It was like they wanted to do it and then got the license to use the names and such. So
I don't know. The fact is,
but with the license, being able to use the names and having the license, Honda's obviously gonna have some say in what you can do. It's like when movies use military assets. It's not up to the military doesn't dictate how the movie is written, but they can come and say, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do this. If the writers wanted to do something, they'll say, no, we don't want you to do that. They don't say how you should. They just say what you can't.
Yeah, anyway, I will say it is kind of weird the setup for Koguma in the beginning. It's a little much.
Just throw this in there real quick.
Yeah, and just because it's not even touched on. We don't even get into her real anything about that. We don't get into her beyond that. We get it's just set up to excuse her finding new life, I guess, in the Super Cub.
With the Super Cub.
Whatever. But it's like it kind of feels a little
odd. Heavy-handed.
But yeah, a bit heavy-handed.
I wonder if it's different in like the light novels and stuff that this was sourced from.
Apparently
I haven't read any of the light novels or
apparently
manga
it's
stuff.
The exact same thing, other than the light novels actually get a little more into the details. Apparently her dad died when she was young and her mom just bailed when she hit high school.
Yeah, so
that's messed up.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe it's less heavy-handed or whatnot in there. I don't know. I've never read them.
Other things about this, it was animated by Studio Kai, who are a fairly new studio. They only popped up in June 2019. They've only done a handful of anime, including this and Uma Musume, second season. Yeah, what's it? Prince of Tennis, Skeleton Knight, and I know that one. Skeleton Knight in Another World. I've heard about that. Shine Post and Futo P. Apparently, it's something to do with Kamen Rider.
Oh, Kamen Rider. That's a name.
It's related to Kamen Rider. It's a spin-off thing or something. Okay. But yeah, the other thing as I want to mention is something I really noted, which is Koguma, although and later she, both often look like they're about to break down in tears at any moment because of the way they're drawn.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, they just look so sad.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you this sad? You're not even in a sad situation. Why are you looking like you're about to break down?
Well, I mean, Koguma's kind of in a permanent sad situation. Her
I
parents
know, but it's the way it's drawn. Even she, though, it's just still, it's like, why are you drawn like this? And almost sometimes there's times it looks like almost like Reiko's comes from another anime entirely.
I don't know.
Because like Koguma and she both kind of match in style. Reiko looks significantly different at times.
Yeah. On that, I will say, like, Koguma's when she smiles, which is a tag name, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Also, Reiko's grin. That there's a phrase, but I'm trying not to swear. That really, yeah, her grin that she has.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's no like quote unquote anime hair, like funny colors or it's just
browns and
realistic hair.
Although what was it? I think it's she her hair is a bit more kind of bluish. What was that, Koguma? One of them has
I think it's she has a slight lighter.
It has a bit of a blue tinge to separate them because Koguma and she look very similar.
Yeah.
Like to the point, like there's a couple times, like I think in the OP, I actually mixed up the two of them.
Well, the first time I started watching this, especially because she's in the opening since the first episode, but doesn't show up until halfway through, I thought she was like a ghost or something in the OP because she's lighter. And speaking of lighter, that's another trick that they do a lot: saturation.
Yeah, they do it several times.
So, like whenever like Koguma sees something that brightens her day, they literally crank the saturation up.
Yeah, they do it with she too.
Yeah. Whenever an event like that happens, they brighten up the saturation. Also, Reiko. After the river incident when they're at Koguma's place, how Reiko just kind of treats like she owns the place, just goes through the fridge.
Yep. And Koguma was just sitting there just getting a little annoyed.
Yeah.
Why are you eating my food?
Why are you eating? Those are my eggs.
So they're basically married, right?
So yeah, basically married.
Out of curiosity, I did look on Archive of Our Own. There are literally two fanfics. One is a general one, and the other one is a ship fic, which also is marked as rated M for mature.
Oh my.
Yep. I looked at the description out of curiosity, and it's basically one of those. They're snowed in. Oh my god, there's only one bed.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it's a general it's a feel-good anime. There's not a whole lot to it, but it's comfortable to watch. It's not there's not a whole lot to it. It feels nice, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun watch. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching it the second time.
Don't regret watching it, but just don't expect a whole lot of depth to it.
Yeah, think of this more like a palate cleanser anime.
It's comfort food in anime form.
Yeah. It's a nice break, like if you're going through a bunch of other things. This is a nice break to calm things down a bit.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. So yeah, that's worth watching. Just don't expect a lot.
And what's the phrase? You meet the nicest people on a cub.
Oh, you say so.
That was the catchphrase for Super Cubs and whatnot.
You say
Honda.
So.
That was their tagline. You meet the nicest people on a cub.
So yeah, I think that's it for this one. This one is definitely for real. There's not a lot to say.
Yeah,
beyond what we've already said.
Yeah,
because this one we're not skipping over stuff. At least nothing significant.
Well, I mean, I could go into like some of the details on mechanicals of the vehicles and whatnot. The differences between
most of the time, also CG did mostly blend into this animation, but
every now and then you could go, oh yeah, that's definitely CG, but most of the time it blended in pretty well.
Anyway, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you could check out other episodes of New to Weeaboo.libsyn.com. It's spelled Libsyn. If you want to, subscribe to the RSS feed, and also at the top there's some buttons. There's links to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, and it's also listed on Amazon Podcasts. And you can subscribe to any one of those, or you could search for New to Weeaboo on any of those as well and subscribe and all that stuff. And yeah, hope you do. And if you want to contact us, you do so via email, newtoweeaboo@gmail.com. If you have questions or anime recommendations or whatever, that's the way to do it, mostly. There's also, of course, you can do so contact us via Twitter. We're at newtoweeaboo, and follow us there and retweet and all that stuff if you like. And there's also our personal accounts. I'm at Nemesis Prime 1, and he's at Alcatraz77T and an underscore at the end. And yeah, you can follow that. I've been releasing reviews like crazy because I'm finally catching up. I'm very pleased with that. I'm finally getting through those because I've been sitting around like, oh, hey, I got 20 reviews just in the docket doing nowhere. Yay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Join us next time. We'll be talking about The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
Oh boy.
A big one.
Yeah, that's a big name.
That's a big one, all right. Hope to see you then. Take care of yourselves. All that stuff. Getting ready to bundle up instead of sweating.
Yep. Fall's approaching.
Goodbye.
See ya.